Let me say loud and clear to Greg Abbott and his enablers in Texas. With these continued political stunts, Governor Abbott has confirmed what unfortunately many of us had already known, that he is a man without any morals, humanity, or shame. Governor Abbott's racist and xenophobic practices of expulsion have only amplified the challenges many of these migrants have experienced on their journey to find a safe place.
Yeah, I have to say, man, the deception and duplicity in politics is what drives me off the walls. I mean, I have to admit, it really triggers me. It makes me want to do videos like this because, I mean, this hypocrisy, it has to be pointed out. I mean, look at this situation. Here we have the mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, and she's engaging in ad hominem attacks, name calling of the governor of Texas, the state I reside in, the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, calling names such as racist and xenophobic. I'm like, lady, don't you know that the governor is married to a Mexican woman? Do your research, lady. But then again, you know, xenophobia and racism, it has nothing to do with who you're related to, married to, or who you align with. But it has to do about when you oppose their agenda. And in this particular situation, is why they don't want the borders alongside the south of the country to be closed off, therefore allowing a lot of illegal immigrants to pass through states such as Texas, Arizona, California, and New Mexico. And they're in chaos. So they have to do some form of border patrol in order to control this mass migration. Otherwise, it could lead to this high levels of crime and many other misfortunes that could tap into a state's budget. So very intelligently, in my opinion, Governor Abbott, and I believe the governor of Arizona and also Florida is also involved in this as well, they decided to take actions in their own hands. Since the federal government, which is led by supposedly President Joe Biden, since they won't protect the borders, so they figured like, hey, let's send these illegals to DC, Chicago, and other these various sanctuary cities. Makes sense to me. But now the DC mayor, as well as the Chicago mayor, they upset. But like I stated, they even said they're sanctuary cities. So Texas is now sending these illegals to Chicago, and it's a sanctuary city. So I honestly see nothing wrong with the situation at all. You say you open up your doors as a sanctuary city. Now when people start walking through your open doors, you're upset because they're proverbially bringing dirt into your house? I mean, think about it. Anytime you have like mass migration coming to your jurisdiction, you have to accommodate them. Otherwise, it affects the whole population severely over time. Because think about it, now you have to spend resources from your budget in order to accommodate these immigrants or migrants. You got to accommodate with food, housing, medical care, safety, things of that nature. So Mayor Lightfoot and Mayor Bowser, to me, they're just talking the talk because they don't want to walk the walk. And I say that they don't want to do it because it's not part of their party's agenda. Unlike, in my opinion, Governor Abbott, who's not as woke as these other mayors are. He doesn't go along to get along. He actually does what he's supposed to do as a governor and govern based on what the people had voted for him to do. But these Democratic mayors, they don't really govern. They just basically, like I said, do as what's being told from people above, and not from the people that elected them to represent them in the office. And look, I don't really care for the whole Democratic Republican stuff because to me, they just control opposition groups to each other. There's bunt heads. You could throw the independents in there as well. However, the Democratic side, man, is just so ridiculous. I mean, they have to be called out. I mean, it's not to defend Republicans, but if that happens in this sense, you just got to call it out. These Democrats are ridiculous with their ideology. And Lori Lightfoot in this particular situation, and I would say in many other situations prior to this, to me, she comes off as a pawn, as a useful tool in order to be used to, like I said, push some type of plan, some devious plan. And in this situation, what she's going to do is just, continue to name call, like they're back at high school and criticize other governors from any state that would do something like this, which is actually very smart and wise. Because think about it, if she truly was being honest and she was upset about this whole situation, she will focus her wrath towards President Joe Biden, because he's the head of the federal government whose job is to protect the borders. Because think about it, even though Chicago is not along the borders, it's in Illinois, which is up north, it's still part of the United States. So everybody gets eventually affected by the situation, not just the southern borders. But, of course, she won't do that because, put up a wall is considered xenophobia and racist and not being inclusive enough. But, when your arguments against something comes, I say like knocking at your front door, the true person really comes out. And I think that's what's happening right here in this situation. Mayor Lightfoot, Mayor Bowser, they know that these major cities, they have budgets. They have to balance quarterly. And if they don't do it, then various, special interest groups in those cities, they start to suffer, as well as the social safety nets that these cities have put in place for welfare and, the homeless and crime. And we know crime is definitely a big issue in Chicago. But, Mayor Lightfoot, she'll do, like I said, what she's being told. But I believe behind the scenes, she's on that bat phone calling up President Biden and speaking to someone in his administration and trying to get some type of resolution on this. Because this name call ain't going to work. But in my opinion, we already know right now, they already asked for it. So this is what they got. And they got to handle it. What do you think they should do?